Hello, my name is Emily Zaransky, and my presentation is on marine snails. Some of the species information: the common name is just marine snail. There are like hundreds and thousands of different types of marine snails, so it's hard to just focus on one. The scientific name is Muscula gastropoda. The average lifespan is actually like 3 to 10 years. This depends on the type of snail, the climate. There's a lot of factors, especially with global warming coming into effect. The oceans getting warmer makes them uh, perish or die quicker. Their diet is they're mostly herbivores. However, there are carnivores and omnivores that are also snails, but it's more common to see herbivores. Their habitat, their habitat can vary a lot. So there can be snails in the Arctic deep north, equator, and Antarctic oceans. They can be right on the seashore with like only a couple inches of water, to the deepest ocean trenches where they're thousands of feet below. They tend to live around reefs and attach themselves to surfaces underwater like rocks and plants. They use the reefs for protection, even though they do have their shell. They also tend to lay their eggs here more often than not. Um, for the habitats, so the snails tend to move a little bit slower in the colder climates, so they don't use up as much energy. Their family structure, so they are hermaphrodites, so they have each snail has male and female genitalia. So they also do not stay with the same mate for life, because if they also cannot find a mate, they can reproduce on their own. This is more abnormal than not, but they can do it. So they mate with another snail and they both lay eggs. So both parties, whether they were like taking on the male role or the female role, they both lay eggs because both genitalia are being used. Uh, the life cycle, so they start out as eggs. Whenever they hatch, they are neonates. Neonates tend to stay in one place. They really don't move very far until they get their shell, which is in their juvenile state. So the neonate tends to just stay under the sand. They eat algae, anything on the ocean floor. While young adults, they have their shell, so they start to move farther distances and they are really no longer under the sand. They like to stay on top so then they can get more food. Um, they need more nutrition, but no sources say how much more nutrition juvenile snails need than adults or neonates. It's really hard to find information on this. So I've been doing like a guesstimate. So like juvenile snails, they're going to be moving faster, quicker, so they're going to need more nutrition that way. The digestive system of a snail, so they have their mouth where they ingest the food. They have a part called a radula. A radula is used to almost drill holes in prey for the carnivorous ones, or in like grasping food particles from a surface. So if a snail was on a plant or on the glass of a aquarium, this helps get the algae off of that. They have the salivary duct, which helps break down their food. Um, they have something called an oesophagus. This is also called a crop. A crop helps snails digest cellulose because otherwise they wouldn't be able to, and that is a huge part of their diet. Then it goes to the stomach to be broken down into smaller particles. They also have a digestive gland called the hepatopancreas. So the hepatopancreas functions as almost both the liver and pancreas in a human. So it can help break down like extracellular and intracellular food digestion. It has lipids, glycogen, and it also can be used for mineral storage. The intestine takes up all of the nutrients, and the anus gets rid of everything that the snail does not need. In balancing a diet, it was almost impossible to find the crude protein that snails actually need on a daily basis because they do not need a lot of protein or carbs or fat. There's not a whole lot of research done on it. So I found a journal article for a research project that had 13.7. So whenever I put kelp and algae into it, because they both are high in like different vitamins and minerals, so that's why I chose each of those, and because they are an easier source for the snail to get rather than a carnivorous snail that can only eat every so often. So whenever I did the algebra, it gave me a negative number, but there can't be a negative number for crude protein. So it would be like 24. For supplementation, there is no calcium in any food sources, but there can be a lot of calcium found on the seafloors. So in the wild, they get enough of each supplement, but in captivity or in an aquarium, they would need more calcium in their food. And those are my references.